Hi, everybody. I thought I would talk a little bit about my most recent pastel. This is what I've worked on this week and actually finished it up yesterday. I think it's finished. You never know. When you keep something up, you keep looking at it and thinking, well, I could change this or I could change that. So it's been a 2-day process. The first day, I took a piece of Reeves BFK 175 GSM paper. It's a lighter weight paper, which is what I use a lot of times. I use a heavier weight paper when I feel like I know what I'm doing. But I've been experimenting with the golden ground for pastel. I've told you that, and the pan pastels. And I've just been kind of trying to figure out how can I make these work into what I already do, and how is it going to change things for me. And that's what I've been trying to figure out. And also kind of the process that I want to use as far as applying those. Do I want to change it up somehow? So I'm just doing a lot of experimenting with both of those things. So this one I did paint with some magenta acrylic gouache instead of the fluid acrylic, and I painted that first, and I don't have an image of that to show you, but I painted it all over and left some open areas, and I let it dry, and then I applied a thin layer of the golden ground for pastel. I thinned it down and applied it, and so then I let everything sit. And actually I smoothed it out by using and I don't see it here right now, I used a foam brush from the hardware store. I probably showed that to you in another video. So that's what I used to kind of smooth that golden ground for pastel. So it's a smoother surface than what I'm usually working on with the Liquitex clear gesso, which is more of a rougher, more textured surface. So I'm kind of trying to decide, what do I like? Do I like this smoother surface, or do I prefer the more textured surface, or am I going to combine the two somehow? That's possible. So I'll have to experiment with that in the future. So then I had this kind of a magenta pastel surface. What am I going to do with it? I want to put pan pastels down first. So, well, I had these drawings, you can see, I had them up on the wall. And I thought, well, I'm just going to use them again. I do that a lot. I use drawings multiple times. You can never really look at this and figure out, well, what drawing did she use, because it gets very abstract as I go along. So I put down some rough kind of outlines of some of the things on my wall with some vine charcoal instead of compressed charcoal. So that's another thing that I've tried to experiment with. And so then I had kind of those rough outlines. I like the vine charcoal. It is a very velvety looking line. So then I took my foam applicator and I put down some pan pastel, and then I started putting in some soft pastel. So this is what I have now. Now this has been through some changes because it was very red. I looked at it, I took a photograph of it, which is what I do. I take photographs during different stages, and I go in the other room and I sit and look at it and think, okay, what do I think of this? Is it finished? Do I need to make a change? What is it that I don't like? What bothers me? Well, in the first version, when I looked at the first photograph, which I can show you, is there was too much red. There was a lot of red down here, a lot of red down here. There was a lot of red. And I thought, there's too much red. I've got to get rid of some of it, and there's too many busy areas. I need to quiet some areas somehow. And how am I going to do that? Well, there was more of a defined flower right here, and I just started, actually I took a little foam brush. I'll show you these little foam brushes. I took this little foam brush and actually took some of the pastel off in a dry way with this foam brush. I still need to clean it up on the edge here. And then I thought, well, I need to balance this red and orange and magenta with some green. And what kind of a green am I going to use? Well, these are very hot colors, so I really wanted a cool color. And so I chose some blue-green of different values. Here's a lighter value, here's kind of a mid value, and I started kind of getting rid of some of the flower shapes. I like this up here, so I thought, well, I'm going to keep this, but I'm going to try to quiet this down here. There was too much going on. And then in another stage, I looked and thought, okay, there's this, and now there's this, but it's not connected. How can I connect it? I thought, well, I need some kind of lines coming down here to connect these two areas. Well, it started to become more of an abstract and less of a flower. I kind of let go of the floral imagery and just thought of it like an abstract painting. And so that I could kind of free myself from the constraints of it having to look like a flower painting instead of just, this is an abstract painting. I want to have some difference. That's what I was looking for, some difference. I've got the deeper values up here, the more bold colors. I wanted some difference in the type of mark that I had, as far as I want some marks with the side of the pastel, which is what I did, not with this color, but it's what I did. I used the side of the pastel. And I wanted some different mark making, and I also didn't want the marks going all the same direction. So here's some marks going this way, some going this way, some going this way, up and down, this way diagonally. You know, I wanted more marks going different directions. I wanted some broad marks. I wanted some thin marks. Then I went back in with the white to emphasize some of the white areas. And actually, those were the areas that were left unpainted in my original underpainting. And so, I did some layering. This was red over here, and now it is blue-green on top of the red. This was more of an olive, but I wanted to connect this blue-green everywhere. So I really kind of got rid of some of the olive. And then I wanted to balance the blue-green with some yellow-green. So we've got some yellow-green in here with these leaves. And every time I put something down, I wonder, where else can I put it? I'm going to put it here, here, and here. I'm going to move that color around. So I'm liking the way that it is right now. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to move on to the next one, cover it up with some glassine and store it. And we will see, what am I going to do with this in the future? But I'm liking it. I started with some drawings, but in this case, I really started obscuring some of those drawings. And so that is something that maybe 5 years ago I might not have quite known how to do. But I think all of the time I've done with abstract painting, that kind of comes into play when I'm doing something like this. I also really try to turn off my analytical brain and just go with my impulse, my intuition on what I think needs to be done. So I just thought I'd share that with you. This is my pastel painting for today, for this week. And I think next week I may get out the pastel matte paper. I've taken some photos of some landscape streams that I really want to investigate and explore. So I think I'm going to do that next, along with my experiments in my other studio with cold wax and oil. I don't know what I'm doing with that material, but I'm enjoying it. And I always know that when I tell other people, when you learn a new medium, you've got to give yourself at least 6 months to a year to figure it out. So I've got to take that advice and just play with it and see what it does. So thanks for watching.